Episode 9 of Talking Guys. Welcome back. How y'all
How,
doing this week?
oh, pretty good. How's it going?
Yeah, I'm doing all right, Still here. 9 weeks in, so I guess that's a good sign.
Hey, yeah, always a
Uh
good thing.
yeah, I forgot last week. As soon as we ended the call, I immediately remembered about UFC 249 had happened the day before. Uh so just real quick, we'll get the results for that. I don't know if you guys have watched the fight or not, or any of the audience had watched the fight. It was a pretty good fight. Justin Gaethje won. So he landed 143 hits on Ferguson. 100 of those were to Ferguson's head. Yeah, he just kept
Sounds
going.
comfortable.
Yeah, the ref called it. I believe it was like a minute left in the fifth. So yeah, 100,
Wow, they
100.
went 5 rounds though.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
100 hits absorbed to the head. A lot of it to the face. It was, it wasn't pretty.
It was like the Conor McGregor Diaz, or not as bad probably. I don't know if it could have been as bad.
Mm,
Because they literally just stood there and hit each other in the face for like a round and almost killed each other. It was like you're knocked out.
yeah, yeah. So Ferguson went up in the hospital. I guess he fractured his orbital bone. But now they're saying that I guess it's not going to require surgery, or they're not going to move ahead with surgery. So I don't know. But
So was he just not protecting his face at all, or what?
I mean,
Is
he
just the other
was.
guy just so fast that he can just punch him at will in the face and he can't do anything to stop it?
Well, I think the thing with Ferguson is, I mean, he typically does get hit in the face a lot, but he just keeps going. So,
Learn defense. Wax
yep,
on, wax off.
yeah. So Justin Gaethje will fight Khabib Nurmagomedov sometime later in the year, most likely for the lightweight championship belt. Yeah.
So was it Ferguson that they've been trying to get him to fight Khabib for forever and he's hasn't, or was it the Gaethje?
No, it's Khabib and Ferguson.
Sounds like he doesn't need to find him because he can't win a fight to make it to him. So
Yeah.
that's what it
So
sounds like to me.
yeah. Otherwise, I mean, it was a good fight. Good card. Henry Cejudo won, so that was interesting. Immediately after, he actually retired, and so he's
No.
called the triple. Yeah, he's called the Triple C. So that's his nickname, and it's because he has a belt, lightweight, bantamweight, and then he actually won a gold medal in the Olympics for wrestling. So he
So
retired
he's
on
just
top.
a good fighter,
Yeah.
tight slash martial artist slash I don't even know what wrestling exactly falls into. Somewhere in there.
Kung Fu.
Yeah.
It's a branch of Kung Fu.
It all is right.
Mm.
It's like
One of the things I thought was really cool, actually watching the fight, and one of the reasons, obviously, because I knew it was gonna be a good card, but I wanted to watch it for the experience. So they didn't have fans there, so you
Must
could
have
hear
got
the.
really hot.
No, they didn't have anyone in the audience,
Oh,
so you could hear the coaches talking the entire time, to their fighters, which is something that you can still hear on a regular fight
right. It's just
under normal
muted.
circumstances, but you can't hear him as well as you could have this last fight. So you heard the coaches. You actually heard the feet. So like when they're on the mat, you could hear how heavy each of the fighters were. So like whenever they were doing the heavyweight fights, because they weigh more, they're louder, and so you could hear the movement of their feet a lot more. Also the breath. So especially with the heavyweights, back to them, because they're bigger guys, they run out of breath a lot easier than the smaller guys do. So like 2 or 3 rounds in, you can hear them really breathing heavily. It's not something you can normally hear. Another thing is, some of the fighters were actually had mentioned that they could actually hear the commentators, because the commentators are still there talking, commentating the fight. But the fighters were actually able to hear, and it said that they actually adjusted the strategy based on what they heard from the commentators, because the commentators, yeah, I know, right? Because the commentators were, talking about, hey, I don't think this strategy is working out for this guy. He may want to do this. Yeah, that's something
why
they
isn't the
took.
coach doing that? That's what.
Yeah,
his
what's the
job
point of
is.
having the coach there? Isn't the coach the one that's supposed to be like, "Yo, this isn't a good idea.
Yeah, I
Change
know,
it up."
but the audience, the people that are watching on TV, they don't hear that. They hear the commentators talking about that.
Right.
But because the commentators have a better idea of how to adjust the either the fighting style or the strategies that the fighters are implying, because two of the three at least used to be fighters, and so they've got a little more experience than some of the coaches do. And because the fighters could hear the commentators, it was said that they adjusted the fighting strategy on the fly to um, counteract for what the other fighter was doing based on the um, I guess the verbal cues of the commentators. So I thought that was really interesting. It's kind of a eerie experience because Bruce Buffer uh, would introduce the fighter, and immediately afterwards, dead silence because there's no one there to actually cheer, or applaud that fighter.
So did they play the music still?
Yeah, the
Yeah.
walk-in music. Yeah, they still played
Just
all that.
walked in with nobody around. Oh, that's weird.
Awkward.
Yeah, they had like one guy I think in the audience, and so I don't know if he was put there to high five the fighters when they walked in, but that's what he was doing. So yeah, overall it was pretty cool experience. They've got another fight coming up, UFC 250, I believe, second week of June. So I don't know if it'll be the same. Most likely it will, but even if it's not, it was kind of like a something that you just kind of had to experience because it most likely is not going to happen again, or if it does, it's not going to happen as often once we get back to some semblance of normality. So, but yeah, overall wasn't a bad card.
Weren't they
Um,
saying though that there's going to be one more card that's like this, right? You said that
yeah.
already.
So UFC 250 is supposed to happen June 6th, I believe, and I doubt that we're going to have audience or fans in attendance at that fight. And
Okay.
that's even if this fight goes through. Not that it won't, but you never know with all the different restrictions and stuff that's going on right now. Things could get postponed.
Yeah. Talking about restrictions, I heard that the sports that they're saying that they're going to starting up sports again, and they're going to have the athletes tested for every game. Is that what I'm hearing? That it's going to be every game, not just like when
Yeah.
so like if you're playing a baseball, if they play a series against the same people, do they still have to test themselves every game, or if they have COVID or not?
That I don't know. I don't know if it's officially been stated if the same uh, teams will have to be tested if they play against each other. Um, I imagine not if they are kept in a facility and not allowed to leave. So you've got no one coming in or out. Um, but they would definitely have to get tested if they went to play another team.
Hmm. So it's like, is it worth it though for them to like play again and use all these tests up
Yeah,
just so
that's
they
what
So,
I'm
can,
so
curious.
what
you
you're
know?
telling me is they're aiming to waste tests that are quote unquote scarce, so multimillionaires can make more money. Like they're the only people who, if we don't like continue with them for like even the entire year, which I know sports fans are gonna lose their minds if they don't get their sports for an entire year. But they're some of the only people who can survive that entire year without making any life changes and still function just fine. So
Yeah,
that's an interesting one to me.
I got a similar thought to that, Seth. Look, I'm probably the three of us. I'm probably the biggest sports fan here. I love well, okay, so I don't love all four as much or equally. I'm a bigger football fan than anything else. And yeah, I mean, I'd love to have the season. Um, I don't feel the tests should be, and yeah, I think they'd be wasted because the majority of these players are still getting paid. I imagine somewhere in their contracts it says or it's listed that they're getting paid, maybe not their entire salaries for not playing that full year, but I would almost assume probably 70 to 80% are still getting the majority of their paychecks. Uh, and I feel, yeah, like I said, I feel like it'd be wasted because there is a shortage, like you stated, with the testing kits and not having sufficient testing available for anyone that actually might need it. And you're using it on these players so that way they can continue playing and yeah, I realize it's their job. Um, but I would imagine, like you said, a lot of these players can probably go for a year or two without needing, that extra million, 5 million, whatever their contract says, and still be able to live comfortably for that time. But yeah, I don't feel like they should be using the testing kits for these players. And that's the thing is, if it was a one time thing or two times, yeah, I could maybe. All right, yeah, maybe. But they're going to be using them repeatedly, and I feel like that is a waste of resources when we should be using those towards people that actually need to be tested. So yeah,
Yeah, I
that's
agree.
my thoughts.
But
And
I
yeah,
mean,
I'm fine. I'm fine waiting. I know they're trying to do everything they can to reopen sports. Um, without fans, but you've got a lot of team based sports that they're trying to reopen, and you would have to then distribute. You've got the entire teams, all the coaches. So that's why I can get behind maybe the UFC because you've got one fighter and his team, maybe
Tennis.
like 5 or 6 at the max, maybe. But when you get into full, actual professional teams, you've probably got upwards of over 100 people per team that you're now testing. You were saying, Pat?
well, I heard though, well, just from everything that because I pay attention to the media and news probably more than maybe y'all do, and especially politics too. But we don't talk about it because we don't like talking about that, so we keep it off. But anyways, I know that there's not a shortage of testing. The issue is there's 4 billion tests. The issues is they didn't have the facilities to actually run the tests. So I'm not sure up to date as far as today, but I know 3 weeks ago, um, they had already made like huge strides in being able to process tests quickly, and that's why you're seeing people that get tested. You're seeing the results come back a lot faster. But I mean, I think there's an argument to be made too that things have got to reopen, and that would include sports too. Because at the end of the day, there's a ton of people besides the players themselves that rely on that for their income to feed their families. So if you say, well, we can open this business or we can't open that business or uh right? I mean, that's my been my whole argument this whole time is it's against the Constitution to tell somebody to close their business just because. So this entire time, really been illegal with how America's supposed to be run, and that's why so many people have thrown a fit about it. It's not that the virus isn't dangerous or whatever; it's that it's just like not right. Who are you to tell who can keep a business open and who can't, just because they have a higher probability chance of getting the virus or whatever? But I mean, when you're talking about the numbers and everything, if you're going to open everything up, you open everything up, and that includes sporting and you don't need to test them. I mean, if they take their temperature before they come to work, like a police officer was doing from last week, right? That's what they're having them do. I mean, and they're not running a fever. Yes, there is a chance that you have somebody that's not showing symptoms that could still be contagious. but I feel like it's way less than is being made out to believe, which means like at the end of the day, you got to do what's right for the economy and right for the people. And like 30 million people are unemployed, so you got to start opening everything back up and hope that you built up enough testing and the infrastructure to handle it if it does get worse. Because from what all the science is saying, even though people don't want to admit it, is that if you get the virus, your short term chances of getting it again are very slim. Now your long term, like say next year when it comes back around, that's a different story. They don't have any research to prove whether you can it's going to be like the flu, right? Where every year it changes and you can continue to get it. So then you might need to worry about this next January if it's going to happen again or whatever. But for now, it's like if you've already gotten it, you are basically have a very good chance of being immune, or your body's going to be very good at fighting it off compared to last time. So is there really a massive risk anymore? I don't know, you know?
Yeah, and I agree with what you said about opening everything up, and I won't get too far into that because I
Yeah.
think everyone knows my stance on that. Um, you had mentioned it's people's livelihoods, right? But
Right, because you got to think of all
if
the
you
trainers, all the people that open those stadiums, the facilities that take care of the lawns, the stadium itself, all the production people, the video people, the freaking parking attendants, the security guards. You got to think about all
but
the people that aren't
you're not gonna have all those people though.
right. I mean, no. From
No,
what
no,
I've
I'm
been
saying
saying, they're
if
gonna allow people to be back. It's just not as many people, so there's gonna be less people allowed in a stadium than normal. But there's still gonna be able to be people that can buy tickets and go to the games again. That's what I've been hearing.
no, if you did a fanless experience where it was
Oh
just
yeah,
the
like if you did the
players.
UFC, then yeah,
Yeah, but I'm saying though that was one of the original ideas. Okay, if we open sports, we just do it without fans. Fox had
but the
actually
majority of their revenue is created through that. So can a sports team really
Well,
survive
UFC
without?
they generally do pay-per-view.
Right,
yeah.
So they can still make their money.
but like football and baseball, the reason baseball has so many games is because they make a ton of money off their ticket revenue. If you
Yeah,
remove that revenue from football and baseball, I mean, you're
that's what I'm
talking
saying.
some of
Yeah,
these stadiums can hold 100,000 people and they're selling out the majority of their games. So 100,000 people, and the lowest ticket at an NFL game is what? $100, $60, maybe even higher than that, depending on where you're going and who you're seeing. Can they really take a loss like that? That's millions of dollars every game that they don't have people come in.
yeah. That's what I said is
I don't know.
if you're gonna have the fans maybe in a reduced capacity at the stadium, bringing in revenue for the facility, the team, the sport, the people that work the ground, like groundkeepers, people that work concessions. I'm fine with you testing the players because now you're actually bringing in more money. But when you play in front of a fanless stadium where it's just the players playing and maybe it's televised, I think that's different because you've got the people that would typically work there for uh, whatever it is and whatever capacity. Maybe that is their livelihood. Right now, they can't work because the uh, the position that they're at is for serving the people that are going to those games. Well, now if you take away the audience, you take away the fans, that person that works concessions or is a security guard for fans, preventing them from getting on the field, whatever it is. If you don't have fans there, they're no longer needed, right? Because it's just the players.
Right.
So I don't know. But yeah, I feel like if you're gonna you open some things up, open everything up. But that's just
I mean,
my
and that's their
opinion.
goal, as they say, they're just slowly reopening. But I mean, it's still like you've told all these businesses basically, well, good luck. I hope you don't go bankrupt.
Yeah.
How is that right? You know, to family members and people that have, worked hard their whole life and have have been employed their whole life and taking care of themselves, and just be like, oh yeah, for 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months, just make a partial amount of your income or go unemployed because you don't really have any option. You know, you
Yeah, good
either
luck with
you
that though.
you either work a few hours and you can't pay your bills, or you work enough hours to pay your bills, or you go unemployed so that the government will give you money so you can pay your bills. Because unemployment is actually paying a lot of people, a lot of the lower income bracket, more money to be unemployed than it is to be employed now. It's actually insane. They're getting
For
eighteen
now
hundred
though,
dollars or some
for
crazy.
now. But that will run out,
Right.
and then you lose the benefits you would have had if you had continued to work. Not only that, but you've got the people that are applying. You said what, 30 million people have
Hmm.
applied or have said that they've applied or
It's probably
attempted
higher
to.
than that now too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Last
What's
time I
the
checked.
what's the wait time though? That's the issue. Is you've
For
got
what? For unemployment?
four, yeah, to
In
actually.
Louisiana, it's pretty fast.
Okay,
Yeah.
because I know the wait times right now. If you were to call, at least here, the wait times are you get in a queue and then you're told that they'll call you back because the queue's too long. Not that I've actually attempted. This is stuff I've read online. Thankfully, I'm still employed, so I'm not going to complain about that. But the unemployment will only last for so long, and then you've got the people that are uh, on it that actually need it, and then you got people that have intentionally quit their job so that way they can make more through unemployment. And if
No, which is actually insane too.
those people, um, I feel like are screwing the people that legitimately need it because there's only so much money that they can be given out before it runs out, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But we'll change topics because I know we've got some other stuff we're going to talk about tonight. Um, so I guess TV shows. Y'all watch Rick and Morty at all?
Yeah, like super behind. Like, I'll wait. I watch it when I don't have anything else to watch. So let's just go with that. So
Okay,
yes, I've seen quite a bit of it, but also just
Pat, you?
Um, to be honest with you, man, I have not watched Rick and Morty at all. Sorry, I was trying to look up just to see what the unemployment. It's harder to find than you would think. Wow, I couldn't find an actual like hard number, so I'm giving up.
Oh, there you
I
go.
I've
That
watched.
he gave it the old Patrick try.
I've watched some Rick and Morty the few times I've seen Seth watch it, but to be honest with you, past what I've seen from Seth, and I've seen a couple memes and short videos of things that were really funny that I saw of it. But other than that, no, I've not watched 99% of the content that they've come out with.
Yeah, well, I'm just using it as a jumping off point. So the fourth season resumed what two weeks ago, I believe, and there was a time period. I believe it was maybe 5 or 6 months between the fifth episode of season five and I guess the sixth episode. So they've actually taken the season, they've split it. So you've got the first half, and it aired, I believe, back in like October, maybe. And then the second half just premiered like 2 weeks ago. Um,
I hate
so
when they do that.
yeah, I know, but I guess so that brings my topic is TV shows. Do you feel that they deserve wait times? So, for instance, it took Rick and Morty, which is an incredibly popular show, and for the most part, people argue that it's pretty high in quality. If you look on, if you do a quick Google search, I know the ratings for it are pretty high. Uh, you have this season they've taken, they've split it, and I'm not entirely sure why there was a wait in between the episodes, but there was. You did the same thing with Breaking Bad years ago, where they took the fifth season and technically it was like season 5A and season 5B, where there is this gap, and I think it was over a year at least for Breaking Bad, where they took it and they split it. I don't know why. There's probably reasons behind it, Uh, but you've got these shows now that are higher in the ratings. It's possible
Game of Thrones, perfect
be,
example.
because they have these higher ratings, they can get away with waiting in between seasons or taking a season and splitting it, and there being a time period in between episodes. Do you feel? One more example. Better Call Saul. Uh, the fifth
Breaking Bad
season.
did it too.
Yeah, the fifth season. I think there was 735 days in between the fourth and the fifth seasons.
2 years? That's insane. That's a long time.
Yeah.
Uh,
But
but I
do you
mean,
feel like it if a show has that style of quality that they can get away, or they should be allowed to take their time in between seasons if it means the fans are waiting longer?
well, uh, do you want to go first, Seth, or
I mean, I feel like I'm gonna be pretty quick. I think I feel like it's a the whole only reason that they would wait would be for something on the back end, funding. Somebody got injured, somebody got pregnant, and they're waiting waiting that time so they can get back to their role. Something like that, like something out of their control, and so they're expanding it, whether they have to go find more funding so they can keep their quality or whatever it might be. Because I mean, I don't pay enough attention to the TV show industry to know exactly how they get paid. But I'm assuming they're not making any money on the season they haven't released until they release it, and that then like whoever's playing the show, they are then paying them, whether it's Fox or Netflix or whatever. So they shouldn't be making revenue until they release it. So I feel like the only thing that is stopping them is something out of their control, and it happens, life happens. My
yeah.
thoughts.
So I mean, my thing would be is like, first off, the people that are making the show, have their own lives and everything. And while it is like, yes, the fans that have supported them, they do deserve to to an extent, they deserve to get more content. It's also that people have, yeah. So really, kind of what Seth's saying is people have obligations outside of their job that may, run in conflict with it. So you can't first off, you can't force somebody to come out with it. So, and you don't want to force anybody anyways, because if you want, I would rather wait 2 years and get premiere content that was worth watching than say get Game of Thrones season 7, which was rushed and sucked. Let's just be real. It was okay.
It
Okay.
had a
No,
couple
let me go back.
good scenes. Okay.
It was okay overall, but the ending and just the production quality, even though it was good, it just, there was something lacking in it. And I felt like it was mostly because of them trying to force it an end. But the reason that happened was because the actors were like, we've been doing this for 10 years. I need a break, you know? So they didn't want to do it anymore. They had already made their money off of it. So there's like, I don't know. There is some selfishness involved, but you can't force people to continue acting. It is a job. You can't force someone to keep. So if they get burnt out and they say, I've been doing this for 10 years, I need a break from Game of Thrones, they have to do what they have to do. Uh, and that's just, it's sad that that's how it is.
Yeah,
That's why
I'm
I
sure they
don't
want to spend the
believe.
money they've made now.
I would prefer, I really think the golden space for TV shows in general is between 3 to 5 long seasons, and that's it. You don't need to go farther than that. Most stories can be wrapped up in 3 to 5 seasons, and anything after that, they're adding content because it was so popular to make more money, but it's no longer about creating a a beautiful artwork. It's about making money off of it, right? So that's why you'll notice that a lot of shows start out so good and end out so crappy in the end.
Yeah.
It's because they made at first they were making it because it was a passion project, right? They loved it. They were so into it. let's do this. This is gonna be great. We have this great idea. They put it all together. Everybody loves it. They have like a story, a plot that they created for however long, and then when they hit the end of that plot, they have to make a new plot, and that's when you start getting all those like crazy shows where they have these far fetched, just ridiculous plots that you're like,
Mhm.
what? It's because it wasn't really meant to be. So just make the work of art like a book, make your book, write your book, have your idea from the beginning to the end. Even those epics, the people that write like 20 books, they have the entire thing planned out from start to end. The majority of them, if they're a good writer. You make your idea, you make the entire story, not just the beginning of the story, not just the end. You make the whole story and you say, this is my story. This is what I'm going to tell. And I'm not telling anything more past that unless it's an entire new series that isn't based anything with this story. Because once you start adding content onto a story that you said was going to end here, it's not the same anymore.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
that
I
would be
two
my thing on that.
I got two examples actually of what you just said. So, your 3 to 5 seasons is actually perfect. So I think 5 seasons is the golden mark that you want to hit. So, Breaking Bad did 5 seasons. It told its story. It had a beginning, it had a middle, and it had an end. And it
Yeah.
didn't overstay its welcome.
Right.
Supernatural
Oh God.
is an example of how
Still
not to
going.
do that. So, and this isn't a knock against anyone on Supernatural. I thought it was a great show. I stopped watching around like season 7. Yeah. So the thing with Supernatural, so the writer, the director, he has actually said that they had planned 5 seasons. That was a storyline, right? And
That's not
they
what
did
happened.
that. Yeah, I know. I think it just filmed or aired its 12th season, which I think was the final.
Oh
And
no.
yeah, so they've got 5 seasons planned, and they've got this story. Those first 5 seasons really good storyline. And they finished the 5th season, and the network orders more. So now it's like, okay, well, we didn't have any of this planned. And now they start kind of adding things onto it that it's clear was not intended to be part of the story. And like Pat said, you start getting these filler episodes. And it just kind of detracts from the overall quality because you can actually see, okay, this is no longer a passion project. This is being made to make money. And I'm starting to lose interest because the story isn't as interesting as it was because the story actually finished and now they're just adding to it.
Yep. And I mean, we could give you so many examples of TV shows that have done this, and it's ruined. Well, not ruined, but it has, what do you call it? Bespeckled the purity of the show and made it not as great as it could have been because they prolonged it. Great examples, I'm sure, would be like Grey's Anatomy. Way too long. Went way too long. Sorry. I've watched some of it, but it's like eventually it's like you're just
I,
like, really?
I just don't
Really?
like doctor shows.
You
I don't. They
know,
don't interest me at all.
How I Met Your Mother.
Yep.
Season 6 was about the last season that was truly like had a lot of good content in it, but even then, the story was like the
It
whole
wasn't
story was
over because
eh.
they didn't let you know how they met the mother, which is
Right,
literally the
but it's because
story.
they prolonged it and they could have
Yeah, and then they show the
shortened it
mother for like one
so
episode, they kill her
much.
off, and
You know,
then
I
Ted's
hated
like,
that.
"Hey, can I
And
date
then
your
it's
aunt?"
Robin,
Yeah,
and
it's
you're
like,
just like, sorry, spoiler alert, by the way.
well, the show ended a while back.
It's been it's been a
If you haven't
while.
seen it, I'm sorry. It's
There's
just
actually,
we've
so
ruined
it's
it.
funny you
But
actually talk about How I Met Your Mother because I was talking with a friend the other day. We were actually talking about how the ending was, or just even the last season of How I Met Your Mother is
was just
awful.
not,
I
yeah.
am in complete
It's
disagreement. That was a great show.
no, the show was good. The last season was
Nope.
bad.
In
Yeah.
complete
I didn't like
disagreement.
I did not like the format
Yeah,
of
I
having it
agree.
over one day with this wedding,
Yeah,
right?
it was ridiculous.
Yeah, it felt
Mm.
so out of place because the entire rest of the show is just a random day. It doesn't take place in a 24-hour format, and so it felt so different than the rest of the seasons. And then you've got Barney, right? Who I feel should have ended up with Robin. Um, he breaks up because plot.
I feel like Barney would never have stayed with somebody. Like the type of guy Barney is, like if you watch him throughout, he's just never going to be someone that's married and
But the
stays with
plot line
somebody
they
for a long
had
time.
where he
Yeah,
dates
he tried to reform, but let's be
yeah,
realistic, he's never
and
gonna
then,
reform.
Ted gets married to the mom, and then she dies, like, 2 minutes later, off screen, and
That
then
was
it's
so
just
stupid.
Ted basically saying,
Mhm.
"Hey, is it cool if I, get with your aunt?" Which is something that it was shown at the pilot, at the end whenever they think it's actually Aunt Robin, like, actually well, even the audience thinks it's Robin, right? And then he says, "Oh, that was your Aunt Robin." Like, okay. There's an edited finale, on YouTube, I think you can probably find, where it actually, fixes a lot of it's like an alternate, finale, and it's much better than the actual one that was aired. Um,
Uh, I
but
think the
yeah.
only reason the last few seasons were so good is because they did such a good job for the beginning part of the series that you loved the characters so much that even when they kind of were low key screwing you over, high key you were like, I still love them, so I'm still gonna keep watching. I love it. I love it. And then eventually you got to the point where you're like, well, I don't know. I really didn't like the ending of that show. Just because, like you said, it's like the whole show is, yes, I get it's about them creating relationships with people and all that. But the whole point was Ted finding this lady. He finds her. She's actually pretty cool from the little bit we get to meet of her.
Mhm.
She seems like
Yeah.
a legitly cool person, you
Yeah.
know? Like you're like, hey, okay, cool, fantastic, you know? And then it was like, okay, episode later, dead. You're like, no,
Yeah,
what?
you had no time to grow with the character. I don't know why they killed
Right.
her off.
I don't know. I I don't know.
Seth, I know you're probably wanting to comment on
In
some of this
complete
because
disagreement, so
you
let's
said you
hear the
didn't agree with this.
disagreement, buddy.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not trying to argue on it. We have a lot of different tastes when it comes to movies and stuff, and I want, just the laid back, disassociated from actual life type of shows, which is what that was throughout. Um, and so it's just that I liked it because I could, turn it on and escape from your everyday stuff that I did not enjoy, whether it's work or whatnot. It was just a good escape kind of show, and it's not one of those shows you have to really pay attention to. It's not one of those shows that they try and put all their political bullshit in for you. So it's just, and so I
That's
will
true.
remain a strong fan of it,
Oh,
along
I
with
love the
stuff like The
show. I
Office, which,
just
I mean, those are just shows that don't like they're just there for your amusement, and so
But
I will
okay,
love
so
that
but
show
again,
till the
even
end
with
of
The
time.
Office, last 2 seasons sucked.
well, no, the
Did I
show
say
sucked
that?
once Michael left. Yeah, no, I'll
Yeah,
agree.
once Michael left as a boss, it was not The Office
It
anymore.
should have ended
Yeah, it should
because
have.
he had shoes that were impossible to fill just because of
Right.
the
Michael
character and
was the
everything.
I don't
greatest,
know, because that
worst
show is
boss
not
ever.
just one person. The show is built like seasons were built on each character and what they brought to the show. So
Yeah,
you
but I
lose
mean,
one
you
and
can't.
it's not as fun. But they brought in other people who were amusing in their own way, and they kept the other characters that you grew to love. So
But
I
come
mean,
on, Michael Scott is The Office. I mean,
no,
yeah,
no,
Michael Scott, Jim
no.
Halpert, his
we'll agree to disagree
romance
on that.
with the secretary,
Damn.
Pam, and Dwight Schrute is
Pam or
literally The
Pam Pam?
Office. And then
No,
the supporting characters around that. When you take one of those, I would argue if you took Pam and removed her, it would have been just as bad as removing Michael Scott. The whole unit was that, and all the jokes, all the stupid things they went through. That's what made it so funny because it was like once you started watching the show, the longer you watch, the more history
invested
they
you
had,
become. Yeah,
the more
well, no.
history you had where they
Mhm.
pranks they've played and then they refer back to the pranks episodes seasons later, and if you didn't really get it, you get it. So it's
Yeah,
like, I don't know. I do think the other seasons were okay, and I watched them all and they were funny. I did see some episodes that were really funny, but I just enjoyed, I felt like the Office with Michael Scott, Pam, Dwight, and all that was just the funniest. Like Dwight was such a good second second like teacher
Assistant
pet
too.
boss, that always wanted to be the boss, but was never really capable of being the boss. But he wanted to be the boss, so he just it was just it was a great
Yeah,
show. And
each character has their place, right? And so you've got these characters that work with each other, that interact with each other, and they each bring something to the table, right? Then when you take one of them out, it's clear they're missing that
uh,
character. For example, It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. I love that show. The 13th season, um, one of the characters was actually there for like 4, maybe 5 episodes. So Glenn Howerton, he plays a guy named Dennis um, Reynolds on the show, and you've got 5 characters. That's the cast of the show. You got 5, and each of them play off each other so well. So whenever you took one away, it was clear the quality had dipped significantly because you're now missing a key player. He came back for the 14th season, and the quality went up significantly because of that. But it's like, if you took Seinfeld or you took Friends and you took one of those characters, and if you were to take and get rid of them, you know,
it's like a death. It's
yeah,
like the equivalent of a
it's like
death. You literally
the
killed
the
them off.
show can continue, but the um so the quality of it, is not going to be the same as it was when you had all those cast members. So I feel like if
Right.
you were to do that with the show, if for whatever reason that actor or actress is unable to come back for that season, whether it be that they have a contract dispute and they want out, or in the case of like It's Always Sunny, Glenn Howerton had a another project he was working on, and it didn't go anywhere, and so he came back. But if a character leaves and they're not able to come back, um, and this is actually what we talked about earlier.
It kills the
Yeah, yeah.
show.
Like
Yeah.
like you said earlier, when you have a show, like Seth said, maybe an actress gets pregnant, right? Okay, you put the show on hold.
Put it on pause. Yeah.
Exactly, and then you come back with that actress. Um, if that actor, maybe they get injured, or something happens and they're not able to be there, pause. You pause the show. You wait for them to come back, and then you continue as if nothing happened. But if that actor or actress actually leaves
Like
the show,
Spartacus,
yeah,
perfect example.
end the show. You just end the
Never
show.
as good as that. That first season was so good. And the most unlucky, terrible thing happened to that main guy. He got cancer and he ended up dying.
Yeah, you end
The
the
show
show.
was never the same once he left because he was like, he was part of what made you love it. And you were invested in him and him escaping from being a gladiator and helping all those other people escape. But he was like the leader, and you remove the leader, you can't. It's just so hard to replace somebody like that and put somebody new in. Or like House of Cards. I know there's all this controversy over why he got removed. I don't care about that. I'm just saying for the show,
He's one of the main
not that I don't care
characters.
about it. I just don't. We don't need to talk about it. It's not something we need to go over because it would be another whole thing. But when Kevin Spacey left, it's just not the same show after. Even though it might have been right to remove him, it might have been wrong. Whatever he did in his personal life, that was him. But it did ruin the show. It just was not the same without the guy. Like you
Yeah.
love it, hate it, and that was another tragic thing of like, this is what happened in real life and we can't let him be on the show or whatever, and
Yeah,
you
it's
just
unfortunate
lose
when,
out.
stuff like
But
that
I mean,
happens,
that's what
but
happens. Yeah.
Okay.
as I feel like, if you can't continue with the same um, style of quality that you had, just, you gotta realize, hey, maybe this isn't working out. But
uh
hey, so you had talked earlier. Obviously, we got the key seasons. 5 being like the perfect example of how many seasons to do. And then you end it. Episodes. You said long seasons earlier.
yeah.
Are- what do you? I think like 10 episodes, 10 to maybe 13. Kind of stretching it for 13,
It
but
de- it, it
10
depends to
episodes.
me on
Yeah.
the length of the episode, I guess, because if you're
Yeah.
doing your more like sitcom type stuff where they're 30 minutes, then obviously we want more episodes. But if you're doing like Game of Thrones where you're rocking an hour or more in episode, you don't need it as long because it's just a lot of content. Because if you do a 13 episode Game of Thrones, hour and 15-minute episodes, you're gonna have to wait even longer between them releasing the seasons, because it just obviously takes more time. So
ton of content.
Yeah, like a basic made for TV 1 hour show, so 45 minutes on Netflix. I say 13 is probably a pretty good number. Obviously, I enjoy the 22 episode season just because it's more content. But there's a balance point, because I also don't enjoy waiting 2 years for a season to drop.
Yeah. Between I would say for if it's an hour, if it's 45 minutes to an hour long, it should be between 8 to 16 episodes long, depending on how long they intend to go. So if you're going to go for 6 or 7 seasons, or if you're going to go all the way 5 seasons, maybe you don't need 16 episode long seasons. But I could argue that there are some things that you could wrap up in 3 seasons and just add a few more episodes on each season to wrap the story up and still end on your cliffhangers that you want to keep people interested in the show until next time. And then, but like Seth said, if you have a show that's 25 minutes long, 10 episodes, dude, no. You got to have 24 or something, or else people are just going to blow through the content so fast. It's they'll see it, they'll watch it for 1 day of the year and be done,
Yeah, so no, actually, two I guess counter arguments to that. Y'all ever watched a show called Barry on HBO with Bill Hader?
I haven't, but Seth has.
Okay, that show is incredible. The quality is top notch, right?
I definitely like it, but I don't know if I'd use that word. That's a strong word.
The writing is really good, but you only have 8 episodes, I think, in a season, and they're 30 minutes long. So you can do a 30, and it sucks.
It left me wanting more, because it's just too sick.
I feel like if you had more, though, the potential for there being more filler episodes is there. The other example I've got is Walking Dead, The Walking Dead. That is a prime example of a show.
Did anyone see my eyes roll to the back of my head? I just want to make sure that the camera caught it.
The Walking Dead, you don't like it?
No.
He was rolling back because he was getting ready to die, so he could be part of The Walking Dead. Okay.
Oh, okay, there we go.
Yeah,
but no, that's an example of a show that should not have had as many episodes per season as it did, because there were so many episodes that were you could literally
pointless.
Remove them. Yeah, you could watch half the episodes and still get the same.
And there would be 5 minutes of the entire episode that actually progressed the story, and the rest of it was just a bunch of baloney that you were like, okay.
Yeah, and it's weird. Okay, so it premiered and airs on AMC, right? Well, AMC is also the same channel that did Breaking Bad.
Right.
So you have a lot of channels that, well, okay, I guess it doesn't make any sense, because The Sopranos and Barry are both on HBO. So disregard any of what I just said, because I just realized it's not going to make any sense.
Cut.
You invalidated your point.
Yeah, I did before I even went. Until wait a second, no, this doesn't make any sense.
That's how I win arguments. I just stare at you until you put yourself in a hole.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, I just did.
Wow.
But yeah, so The Walking Dead, I watched that show religiously for the first.
Dig it out. Dig it.
8 seasons. Right after Glenn died, when I stopped watching.
Wow, spoilers.
Wow,
man.
Yeah.
Wow, dude.
I didn't know Glenn was dead.
Glenn died.
Which one's Glenn?
I'm glad I didn't watch that show.
He's one of the characters.
He's the Asian dude.
I actually did see him die. Yeah, he got his head beat in by a bat.
Yes, yeah, Negan hit him.
That was probably the last episode I saw.
Yeah, I stopped watching after that.
But I'm just to, I guess, go with your point on too many filler episodes. I skipped 2 seasons, picked right back up, and I didn't feel like I missed anything.
Of The Walking Dead?
Because that it's just, I got, it was season 3 or 4. It was just complete trash. I watched a couple episodes. I'm like, I hate this.
Well, season 2 was the farm.
And then I came back season 5 and kept watching. And I felt like I didn't miss anything.
No.
And then but no, and you should not be able to do that. And that's why I rolled my eyes at the beginning, because it had potential. I love zombie type things. I love apocalypse type things, but it was just screwed up. We'll just
Well, the entire first
they
season
ruined it. We'll just go with that.
was
Because I
brilliant.
would go with what Seth said real quick though. Is you should not be able to do that with a show like Walking Dead. However, like Seth said, there are shows that are okay to where you can skip episodes and still get what's going on. Like, for instance, when I watched Friends the first time, Seth, Asher, and Talia watched the crap out of that thing. And I had to go to work all the time and I kept missing episodes. And I never felt like I just lost what was going on. I would hop right back in and keep enjoying the show. And that was nice. So whenever I watch Friends again, I'll randomly see episodes that I've never seen, but I still got the gist of the story, even though I missed many episodes throughout the whole 7 seasons or 8 seasons, however long it is. I don't even know.
Yeah, I mean, my friend literally watches like The Office by just clicking random episodes because you don't have to watch them in order. And there's shows like
Right.
that, but story like shows like The Walking Dead, you can't. Just you should not be able to miss things and be okay.
Right,
Yeah.
like Game of Thrones. If you could go into season 6 of Game of Thrones and
No
really
idea what's
truly
going on.
understand who everybody was and what's going on, that would be wrong. Would have failed their show. It's a
Yeah.
story. You have to start from the beginning and go to the end. You can't. It's like opening a book. I don't know. I know there's some
I'm gonna
people
start
I
here.
have met actually that do this, but it's opening the book and you read the last chapter of the book to find out the ending, and you don't actually read who would do that?
It's the
I've met
entire
people that
journey.
do it,
Man.
but it's like y'all are insane. Why?
I just read the excerpt on the back of the book.
Get the
It's got
The
the
back.
summary.
just
Yeah, that's what I do.
And get the prologue too in there, and then you'll be
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, but no, it's an argument I will always have. And you guys are in agreement with me, so there's no argument to be made here. But
right. We're
The
kind of
Walking
agreeing
Dead
with
is
each other.
is a prime example of a show that should have been 13 episodes, and it should have been on Netflix or HBO, because the quality for that kind of show, I think, needed a bigger budget. I think it got one,
Probably.
maybe, but it it was definitely a show that has way too many episodes that are just there.
Okay. One more thing, and then we should probably move on to another subject. But I wanted to add this. Would it not be awesome to see a TV show based off of like the underworld? Is it underworld? Yeah, underworld.
Like the
The
vampire lycan.
yeah, the
Yeah.
like with that whole how it looks and like the dark crazy vibes, and if they made it good, would that not be like the sickest thing ever? Because I think the first time the first underworld I saw, I was like, this is a great movie. But then they made all these other underworlds and they just weren't as great. But I was like,
1 and 2 were great.
yeah.
But I mean,
It's
yeah,
a
no,
movie
I love
series, right?
the yeah,
Okay.
I love the idea of them. So yeah, like doing something similar. I think they're which I don't know when they were made. Maybe made sense.
It was a
but
while ago.
It was
Yeah.
not just like they're jumping and stuff. I'm just like, oh look, they're being carried by a rope. Like I mean, it's just like it didn't look right.
Yeah. The special effects were okay, but
I
not
like the
amazing,
idea of
for
it. So
sure.
yeah, I mean, HBO pick up a show like that and make it real HBO style. It could be cool.
Yeah, I think that there are definitely movies that could have benefited from a higher budget. The Alien
Oh,
versus Predator movies. Y'all watch those, right?
Alien.
I haven't
Well,
seen them in forever.
yeah, Alien versus
any of
Predator
the new
was
ones.
awesome.
They're
I love that
not
movie.
bad. And
Yeah,
I feel like
I liked 'em.
if you
It's
just had
just-
an Alien versus Predator without humans because they're useless, against an alien or a
But that's
predator.
the
I mean,
excitement that they're
No,
like
you've got
literally in this fight and they have no chance of surviving. It's whether or not the aliens or the predators will get rid of each other and they'll get their little slip.
that's all.
to
That's
slip
all I
away.
want to see. That's all I want to see is an alien fighting predators or predators fighting aliens.
Dude, I
Uh,
remember seeing that show.
give me
13
that.
years old.
Give me like
Oh
a
my
billion.
god, my heart was beating.
Give me like $1 billion budget, and that movie would be really awesome.
Or the humans could get like the whole Avatar, walk around mechanic suits, and then they can fight too.
Like mechs.
Yeah.
Wait a second. We're on to something. Can we have an Avatar versus aliens versus predators? It could be a legit show. By the way, I did hear that they're making an Avatar 2 and that it's coming out semi soon.
I
Semi soon. Is
mean,
that a
it
thing?
really took. Yeah, I heard that too. It took them long enough because that movie grossed so much money.
But you know what?
So much.
I would rather them take forever and make
Yeah,
like an
well, I
amazing.
mean, like they weren't
Yeah.
even in production for the longest time. Like it wasn't a plan, I guess.
Because
But
nobody,
I'm
I never even
surprised
knew
it took
about
them so
Avatar
long.
until it came out, and I went and saw it, and I was like, "Wow, this movie is fantastic."
Yeah,
It's
Yeah, but
actually
definitely
really
isn't
good
the
good.
one.
reason it did so well is because of the 3D was such a big
That
thing.
was one of the first 3D movies, wasn't it? And
Right,
it looks
but
so good.
oh
They
yeah,
used
the
it for
quality,
so it wasn't one of the first 3D
graphical
movies. It was
quality.
one of the first 3D movies that they used it for graphics versus, just throwing shit at your face.
Yeah.
So-
There
Right.
was I guess you could say it basically completely changed how 3D was done, because it used to be where things would fly at you, right? Like Spy Kids. I remember watching Spy Kids 3D,
Yeah, Spy Kids.
and
Oh
it was
god,
at
the
the
cat
time.
arm.
I'm a kid, I have no idea what's going on, but it's
That
corny.
thing gave me headaches.
Yeah,
It was
you
Oh,
look
yeah,
so
me
back at it,
too.
it's like
It
this is
hurts so
corny
bad.
and pointless. Now movies, I think the last 3D movie I watched was Civil War. Maybe I don't watch a whole lot of 3D movies.
Yeah, I don't
But
really.
We're in
there's
Louisiana. They
actually
don't have fancy enough movie theaters.
there's
True,
actually an
true
experience
that.
Give them 10
now.
years.
There's an experience now when you watch them where it actually adds more of like a depth to the movie, and it's not just things being thrown or flying at your face where it's like, ooh,
Right,
oh
it
wow.
looks like more real.
Yeah, it
Like the
does.
characters look like almost sometimes lifelike, like so lifelike it's actually like what the
Yeah,
hell.
I mean, I would enjoy like an what is that 4D? I don't remember, but like the Omni Theater, like that experience done well on a movie, I would enjoy. Like so where your chairs move with the like if you're in a vehicle or something, like not at all times, but like gives you some movement and also, hell, you might get hit with a little bit of water. Like
Yeah.
I think that's interesting. I would
Virtual
I-
reality is super interesting, and making a movie that has to do with like virtual reality and having your sensory
Oh, dude.
besides just your eyes and ears
Did
be
y'all
like
see that I don't
be
remember
super
what it was
cool.
called, but it was like a first person movie, like where you're
Yes.
seeing from the
Oh, it
character's
was
eyes.
hold on.
I can't
It
remember what
was
it's called. That was interesting though.
Henry something Henry, right?
That
Oh,
sounds pretty right.
yes.
But yeah, I mean, super gory, super like
Yeah.
violent. And that's all it was. But
It was hardcore Henry.
Yeah,
That's
Yeah,
what it
I'm
was.
almost
that's right.
positive it's hardcore.
That
Henry.
But-
movie, it was that
Like
yeah.
I just like that
Yep,
was
it is.
I've already talked about the movie industry. They're just recycling a lot of ideas and stuff.
Or
That
that.
was that was very this is unique. Was it done well? I don't know, because I mean it was a cool little movie, but by the end of it my head hurt. But
Right,
yeah,
'cause it's
no,
like
I like that they did
moving
something out
around
of the
so
box.
much.
That's what I want is yeah, the premise of it was pretty cool too. I like
I actually never saw the movie. I
Oh,
just was
I
like,
only saw it the
"Eh."
once, and I think it came out in like 2013. So it's
Yeah,
been
I
a
watched it
while.
once also.
But yeah, it was. I want more movies like that, like first person movies. Like, give me like a first person Spider-Man movie. Like that'd be kind of badass, right? Or like a first person like war movie.
I
You
mean,
have a lot of like World War II movies. Do a first person aspect of it. I think that would add um something different that hasn't really been done for a movie in that genre.
yeah, no, like people need to be more creative versus recycling the same old stuff.
Yeah.
But,
I think that's why video games are so cool, because there are some that are almost like movies, but you get to experience it from a
I
first
mean,
person or third person
there are
view.
definitely games where I
So it's
enjoy the
like,
cutscenes more than the game
yeah,
themselves because it's just like
yeah.
so involved.
Like a Resident Evil or something. Like, it's like, yes, it is a game, and yes, you're playing it, but it's also for the like cinematic, like scare you out of your freaking seat because of the stuff going on in it. So you
Or
just,
even like a first person zombie movie. That'd be kind of cool too.
yeah.
Something that's different because like you guys said, there's so many just recycled ideas. You could change them up by doing that.
I mean, just originality, man. Where is it gone, people? Come up with your own damn idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Seth, you got another topic for us?
Well, I actually missed my transition earlier, so I don't know how it it fit in because like we just transitioned so fast. I was gonna slide it in there, and we just kind of went.
All right. Well, hey,
So
go ahead. This is podcasting at its
well,
finest.
no,
Here,
I
ladies
mean
and
I'm gonna
gentlemen.
hold it because I can transition it again because it's a topic that we talk about. So I'm holding that.
All right.
Um,
Okay.
but we talked about movies and how they they hold off on them and whatnot. Same thing for books. Like, so I've got this one book series and author who so good, like by far the best two books I've ever read in my life.
Oh my god, I know what you're
And
talking about.
then it has been, I don't know, 12, 100 years since he last released it. And
I think it's 4 or 5 years now at this point.
it's been, I don't know how long, but it's been a long time.
Wait, are we
And
talking Game of Thrones?
Mm-mm.
no,
Okay.
we gave up on Game of Thrones.
Yeah,
Because
we're long
Game
past
of
that.
Thrones, I'm not
Okay.
I'm not even excited for more books because the books were amazing, but now they pushed the TV series past it. It takes away the way they could go with the book because now it'll just be compared to the TV series. So I think they ruined that. That was a bad idea. I'll read them, but I'm not excited for them. I'm talking about the Kingkiller Chronicles by Patrick Rothfuss. But
The Name of the
anyways,
Wind
yeah,
and what's the
in silent something or other. I don't know, but yeah, but anyways, insanely good books. Very in depth. It's by far an epic with multiple storylines like Game of Thrones, and he has plans for it to go on for a while, but he has all but stopped writing the third book because he just keeps posting on his Twitter. I'm just trying to make sure it comes out well, when really he's just spending the money he's made, and it's starting to get on my nerves. Like, um, so so where I was going is there's a point where taking your time and making sure it's good, or getting things right, and just taking too long are definitely a thing.
Yeah, I could see that. I'm not as heavily invested in literature as you guys are. I wait for the movie to come out. But I could see that uh, the uh, the complaints, I guess, and frustration of being being told to wait for the next novel to come out because the author has decided that I'm just gonna do whatever. I
Yeah,
don't really feel like
it's just
writing.
like it's to the point where it's not a priority. To me, he's saying a big, fuck you to your fans. Like, I don't, it's no longer that, because I know it's extremely hard to write a book, especially at that level. And I expect 3 years or something like that, to get through it.
well
But when we're approaching 5 to 6, it's just like, okay. And his tweets and stuff are more of like, I'll get it when you'll get it when you get it. If you keep asking me, I'll take longer. Like, and so it's just, yeah, it's the
So
fans
it's
that
like
are supporting and
it's
helping
like a middle
him.
finger to the
Yeah,
fans that
and so
have
then
supported him.
I still want the book, but I'm also upset with the author. Like, if Brandon Sanderson just took, like, he bought the story rights or some shit and then went from there, it would be great.
Okay. Two things though. First off, I looked up on his page. Do you want to know when the second book came out? Like when the official publish date was for it?
Yeah.
2005.
Okay, guess. 2005. What's yours, Seth?
16.
2016. No, it's 2011. So it's been 9 years. 9 years since the
9.
second book. But the second thing is the third
9
book
years.
is the only book. Like that's the end of the series. There's no books after that. So because I know two things about Patrick Rothfuss because I looked into it like I think it was 2 years ago, and now I'm reading it again. The at least the part about it's only going to be a 3-book series. So this last book that he hasn't written is the end, and I've read multiple things about him saying he just hasn't come up with it. The end of it is not what he wants it to be yet, and so he doesn't feel like he can release it because he wants it to be as good as the other 2 books, and he just feels like it isn't. But the other interesting thing about Patrick Rothfuss is he actually was not a writer. He graduated from college. I think I can't even remember in what exactly he went to college for, but he played Dungeons and Dragons, like the actual Dungeons and Dragons, where you like make up your own story and have people come to your house. And he would be the person that created the worlds. So he made all these different worlds and like played D&D with all these people. And that's what got him. I guess he one day he started making this world and it was like, I should just make this into a book because it's that good. Like he just made this whole idea up for a D&D game and it
Interesting.
turned into these books. But the thing is, he created these books not knowing his end. Like, so it's going to be, I feel like, harder for him to create the end of it. But 9 years is a very long time. So
Mhm.
I'm really like, I don't know,
Right.
dude. Is he really ever going to
Especially,
finish it
yeah,
or
I
not?
mean, knowing that, so now I have two things I picked up from that. So for one, not being an author and just kind of going with it to write some, because I mean, I have read multiple hundred books and not your, quick read books. I love books more than I love movies. Like it's just I use
Yeah.
Audible mostly, but it just
Which
it tells
the Audible
more
version
of
of
a
those books
story.
was so good.
Yeah, it tells
That's
more
what
of a
made them.
story, so I
Yeah.
tend to go for books. And so I've read a ton, and for me to just say that those are some of my favorites, and that he wasn't even an author or planning on being an author is intense. That's awesome. Like, I mean, he did a great job. But for two, he's not an author. He doesn't have the passion, and he's rolling in his money. So we're not. I mean, are we even getting this book? I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah, but the thing is, as a fan, you've waited this long. Two things are going to happen. One, you're just going to lose interest and not even buy or read the next book. Or
Right.
two, the expectations for that are going to be astronomical, right? I mean,
Right.
if you've waited this long, the hype behind it, for example, and we won't go too far into this as I know we're talking about books, but The Dark Knight Rises was a complete disappointment. I absolutely despise that movie. And I waited 4 years, I think, because The Dark Knight came out in 2008, one of my favorite movies of all time, and then The Dark Knight Rises came out in 2012. The hype behind that, and that's just 4 years. That's just 4 years. The anticipation behind it was just so high.
Mhm.
And then when the final product actually came out, I was so disappointed. So you've waited twice as long for this to come out, and it hasn't come out yet. So it could be 3 times as long. Who knows? But yeah, you're going to be incredibly disappointed because you have anticipated and you've hyped it up because obviously this amount of time it's got to mean that the product is going to be really good, right?
Right. Yeah.
Or you're just going to lose interest and be like, well, you know what? Screw him. I'm done waiting. I'm not going to support him because he's intentionally just wasting time instead of
Mhm.
focusing on something that he has. And I assume the way that the second is, I haven't read the books. I assume the way the second book ended, it ends to be concluded in a third. Is that right?
Not really. I mean, 'cause they are long
So
books.
good.
Long
Yeah.
books. So it's one of those like where it ended. He kind of ended a side story that was going on. Like it ended well. The main character finished up where he was at, and he was starting to head home. Like is roughly where it finished, and so he kind of wrapped that up, but you don't know exactly where the story's going, which is something I like because
Which
it's not like Lord of the Rings where you know they're going to Mordor to throw the ring in the pit. Or
Wait, that's the whole plot?
no, no, I made
Okay.
that up. Should I write a book? I should write a book. Um, but no,
nobody has.
but yeah. So it's but like that. So like I said, that's the end goal, and so they're getting there. In this book, you don't necessarily know the end goal.
You never do.
Yeah, which also
Yeah.
I guess would make it hard to conclude it. Because that's whoa. I'm sorry, I
That's
just read something. It took him 15 years to write The Name of the Wind.
yeah. So he made, but
That's
think
the
about
first
how
book.
good the Name of
That's
the Wind is.
first book.
Okay,
I know, but I mean, so it
the
takes
Name
him
of
a
the Wind
long
and the
time
Wise
to
Man
write.
Fears. The Wise Man Fears was that's the second book was so good. The way it transitioned through the entire book, every story, every plot, all the plot lines in the whole book were just good. Like they were all interesting. You were interested in every part of the book because you'll read a lot of these epics and there'll be parts and characters that you love, and then other characters that you're like, what they're
Yeah,
doing right now is just not as
while you're
interesting as
going
what's
through
going
that
on over
story,
here.
you're just like, come on, hurry up! I want to get back to it. I want to get back
Yeah,
to
I
the
want
other
to get
part.
back to what's going on with this boy.
Yeah.
And instead, yeah, and it did such a good end. And when it ended, it did end, but it also left you with like a slight cliffhanger and a lot of mystery. It left you with more mystery than just technically a cliffhanger because you learned something that you didn't know about Quoth as an older individual, and he's in this certain circumstance, and that's where it ended. And something was about to happen to him, and you don't know what or why or what's going on. You have no clue how he got there, and it just ended. It was a beautiful ending, and that's why people are so like stir crazy about getting the next book, because that ending, whatever happens in that to finish that is just going to be, it's going to be hard, real hard to like make a book
Yeah,
that
but
like,
I need him to do it. I need him to do it fast. But like I
because I
said,
could die by the time he writes it, dude.
yeah,
I could be
it's
gone from this
just it's
world.
so crazy to me though. Like he wasn't even planning on being an author, and he's now worth $4 million, just off of 2 books.
So are we taking bets between him and
I bet you he'll finish
Martin?
it.
Like
He
who
will
finishes
finish it.
first? Well,
Yeah, who will finish there first?
well, I mean, Martin has more books than coming than just one. But
Yeah.
I mean, if we want to take a bet on who releases the next one first, I am going to go with Rothfuss. Because I don't think Martin's going to finish. Honestly,
Yeah, because
he's making too much money, and he's focusing on too many other things. Like they're working on the next spin-off Game of Thrones,
and Rothfuss is younger too. So, you know, Martin is old, and
Yeah.
does he even have, like, I'm not saying that takes away drive, but he's made it. He made it. He got all the money he ever wanted. Everything is set up for him. His life, he got to make his book into an actual screen that for the most part of it was an amazing series, and people still are going to say it's an amazing series even though the ending was lacking compared to what we wanted. It was still a great series.
Extremely good. Yeah.
Probably one of the best epic series we've seen in a long time, or probably will for a while. I don't know if anybody's going to be able to match that for a little bit. The following it had around the world and everything. It was just the magnitude of this show was just far beyond anything any TV show has ever seen before. The amount of money they spent on it to create it and to make it what it was is more than any TV show, I think, or movie as a whole has spent. I mean, I think they said the last season they spent like some astronomical amount of money on it. Like it was like,
I mean, and
I don't want to say this and be wrong.
It was made,
But there was like
extremely
$300
well.
million or something they spent making this last season.
And
I just want
made it back.
the Amazon
So-
Lord of the Rings show to come out, because that's going to have Game of Thrones money thrown.
And
behind
not
it.
only that,
Yeah.
it was the most pirated TV show of all time by like light years. Nobody has ever stolen more of the show than Game of Thrones. That's how much people wanted to see it. They were willing to like illegally watch it and illegally tape it and download and everything just so they could see it, because they didn't want to pay HBO fees or whatever.
Pay your HBO
I got
money.
tired of looking for it.
HBO is worth the money because they give you the quality.
Right. You got to see it how you wanted it.
But so I mean, just real quick, is that I think we should probably wrap up.
Yeah, we've been going.
But so one thing that I did see is the Kingkiller Chronicle series has already received a TV deal. And so but he said we're not doing it until my book is finished.
Yes!
Which is the right way to do it. Because then you
Okay.
don't have all these TV writers and stuff telling you what they think you should do. It is his book. Because I think that's where Game of Thrones messed up, is he jumped into the movie deal and things got twisted so much from the original storyline that now the original storyline is just like, who cares? Is it even worth putting out anymore?
Right.
So like I said, so for those of you who don't read, you can still experience this eventually on TV. And but you should read it.
But we highly advise you although one of the hosts here is not going to, but he's stupid, so don't listen to him.
I'm
We
not
highly advise you
stupid.
from the two smartest people of the team here that books make your vocabulary better, your speaking better, and your intelligence just
I don't
goes
know
like
about this.
Hey, I
I don't
speak
know
real
about this.
good.
I is good speaker.
I can English.
I is a good.
I don't think it affects your speaking though, but your vocabulary for sure.
Possibly.
I think if you listen to audibles, because
I mean,
you
you
can
can
hear
future
how
sponsor.
You can learn without knowing you're
how
learning.
it rolls off the tongue and how people talk, and you can like begin to mimic it and like realize that there's a way you can talk that sounds better or doesn't. You know, that's a very interesting
So,
topic, but for another
voices.
day.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, interesting. I've never thought about that. Anyways, so that's
everything
that's
is
all I got.
evolving in the world.
It kind of took longer than I was expecting, but
Hey, no, man, no.
I
Good.
like books, and I'm passionate about books. I think they are a great thing.
And what's even greater is that me and Seth have passion for a lot of like similar like books, so we can actually share passions with each other and be like, "Hey, you should go
Have
check
you
this
read this
series out."
series? Have you read that series? Yeah.
Yeah, and I've actually read some of the series he's offered. I haven't read all of them because I like to be honest with you, it's hard for me to find time to read them all because there's too many of them. But I've read some of them, like the
I
art.
luckily and unluckily drive a couple hours a day for work.
What is it? The Brett Winks or
Brent Weeks? Yeah.
yeah, that series is really good, and that was one of his favorite ones. That's why his old Xbox gamer tag was based off of that series, and it actually is a really good series. So I really enjoyed it. The books are shorter than some of the ones that I've read, but that doesn't mean that they're not good. It's
Good
just
quality stuff.
yeah, it's true. I
Yeah,
have a mom that was
books
a
make
graduate of
excellent
English,
cup
so she taught me
coasters.
how
There
to
we go.
speak properly.
Yeah.
Which I get a lot of flack for speaking too properly. They say I sound like a square, and I need to like learn how to use more slang. And
Talking about out here, don't listen to him.
yeah, I know I don't. I just continue to talk how I talk, and I'm like, okay, well, you guys really need to do what I ask you to do right now, okay? I don't want to
Now.
ask again.
You said that like Jordan. I'm just saying. Right now.
Yes,
Anyways.
ma'am.
Anyways.
There's the throw
Yeah, I
out.
digress.
That's yep. There we go, boys. Outro time. We're officially at 50 subscribers now, so thank you very much. Right after these, I was gonna say second video, but it's not. Right after the 8th episode last week aired, we got our 50th subscriber. So thank you very much.
Yeah, we appreciate it.
Hit a milestone, so here's to 50.
Yeah,
more.
and also our next milestone will be, I'm calling it now, will be hit by releasing of episode 11. So after 10 episodes and you let episode 10 go for a minute, we'll hit our next milestone. I know it.
Wait, what's the milestone?
2K.
What?
2K views.
Oh, 2,000 views. I was thinking like
we're over 1,600 now, so
that's actually insane.
Yeah, we appreciate it. A lot of people listening to my awesome voice.
Check our Facebook out. Like I said, there's still some spots left on that Facebook post if you want to comment to find out what exactly we're doing next week, because we do have something really big planned for you guys for the 10th episode special. So we cannot wait to get that for you guys filmed. I think we're gonna have a fun time doing it. So I
don't know about that, but okay.
We're gonna have a fun time, but will Monday be as fun? I don't know.
Yeah, to find out.
Overshadowing.
Yeah, to those that haven't already checked us out, follow us on Facebook, like our Twitter, or is it follow on Twitter and like on Facebook? I don't know. Either way, you gotta click the links below and you'll figure it out.
Do what it tells you to do and all those things.
Like, subscribe, and click our videos to view more great content.
And comment below if you think Patrick should start doing TikTok videos. Just saying. All right.
What? Okay.
Yeah, that's
take us
gonna
out.
be
Beam us out,
9.
before.
All right, y'all. Everyone have a good one.